Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today DICE's third DLC for Battlefield 1 Turning Tides has released on all platforms. The DLC comes with two new maps, Cape Hell and Achibaba, both of which can be played on a new operation as well. Comes with 6 new primary weapons, 3 melee weapons, 1 new elite class which has an interesting twist on team play this time around, 8 new specializations, and 1 new vehicle. Now this is Part 1 of the Turning Tides DLC. Part 2 will include 2 more maps and the C-Class airship. Turning Tides Part 2 will be released in January. As of today though, we can unlock all the new guns and start completing the new service assignments and checking out the new operation. And speaking of which, the weapon unlocks this time around are not nearly as awful as they usually are. So DICE, good job, you're making some steps in the right direction. One of my favorite new updates to the general mantra of service assignments or weapons unlocks is when you have to do vehicle damage. It's no longer based on getting the last hit on an airplane or a tank. Now it's a total count of damage done to vehicles. So you're not going to have to be that lucky guy who shoots down the airplane with your LMG. It's going to be based on how much damage you do to vehicles in general. This is a big upgrade for weapons unlocks and service assignments. They've also introduced a new game mode, or rather an old school game mode called Conquest Assault. It's new to Battlefield 1. And it's a mode that's similar to Conquest, except one team starts with all of the flags and the other team has to assault in and take all the flags from that team. And the map is supposed to be balanced around it. Personally, not my favorite mode, but in terms of having to add new modes every single time, this was sort of a predictable choice. Along with the new DLC content also came a fairly extensive patch with a lot of different patch notes. I'll link that in the video description if you want to read through all of them, but for the time being, I'll cover some of the basic changes or the more impactful changes that you might notice once you get into the game. First things first, the Scout class can now place 2 different tripwires, so either 2 HE tripwires, 2 gas, or 2 incendiary. This is going to make the Scout class a bit more effective. When playing defensively, you could probably stack them one on top of the other if you want to get an instant tripwire kill, like 2 HE bombs right next to each other for the added damage. Hopefully that'll work, or you can block off 2 different ladders or entrances depending on where you're held up or camping. DICE has now covered the dynamite for the assault class in wax, so it will detonate properly when thrown into the water. This is exciting for anyone who's a big fan of dynamite in the game. They've improved the spread and recoil for the Model 1900 shotgun to make it a little bit more usable. Personally, I think it's going to need a little bit more damage to stay competitive with some of the popular ones like the Model 10A Hunter. They've significantly increased the damage that coastal guns and fortress guns do to behemoths, so rather than just sort of pecking away at their health, they're going to do significantly more damage. This should make airships go down even faster on maps like Monte Grappa or the Dreadnought on some of the coastal maps. Fortress and coastal turrets are now going to use the same disable and repair logic as the field gun or AA guns. This means that upon reaching 50% health, they become disabled, and repairing them in full will make them usable again. For console players, they've made the aim assist when you zoom in. The snap to target feature is going to be more subtle, so maybe this will make it a little bit more skill oriented. I can't really speak from experience, don't play console much, but this could be big news to people who want less aim assist on console. They've also made some big adjustments to player movement. They've adjusted the movement to avoid the sprint slide exploitation, where you could basically just endlessly sprint and slide, making it very hard to hit your player, not to mention the hitboxes were all kind of wacky when players were sliding. Also, there were some issues in that the tick rate didn't always line up properly with the slide animation, and hopefully those things have been adjusted. In general, there's going to be a bit more adjustments to player movement in this patch. You guys will have to test it out and let DICE know what you think. The radius effect for ammo crates and medical crates have been raised from 3.5 meters to 7 meters. This means that teammates do not have to stack so tightly to get those benefits. This is good because it makes airburst mortar and grenades and stuff an easy way of getting a ton of kills when somebody's on these ammo crates. So it's basically effectively doubling the radius. Now those were the more interesting notes for the patches that I found. There's plenty of other stuff in there, so if you're really interested in every little detail, I recommend checking out the link and looking at it for yourself. Now I did make a mistake in a previous video saying that the new weapons balance patch with the time to kill adjustments was going to be added during this DLC patch. I was wrong. That weapons balance patch is not coming until the next patch, allegedly. I don't know why DICE has been taking so long on this patch. It's literally been months and months since they've started working on it, and it's not like they're redesigning tons of animations and stuff from the ground up. They're literally just messing with numbers and spread mechanics for weapons, and it's been in CTE for a long time. Many players are saying that they're very happy with the way it is now, or at least happy enough to put it into the live version and sort of work from there. I personally am in that camp as well, especially considering we're getting 6 different primary weapons with this DLC, all of which could balance totally different once the TTK patch comes out. So if I make weapon reviews and talk about the effectiveness or lack of effectiveness rather of these new DLC weapons, that could all change when the next TTK patch comes out. So I just wish DICE would pull the trigger, put this in the game. People have wanted it since launch, and it's been in the works for so long, but I'm not really sure why. Like, they're just doing extensive testing, which seems very out of place for DICE. Usually they just make some changes to weapons, put it in the game, there's a few errors here and there, and then they patch it within the next patches or so. So I just want it to get in the game. I'm impatient. I want these weapon changes. I think it's going to be one of the more impactful changes made to the game in general, and it was one of the things I was really looking forward to with this DLC, and I'm very disappointed not to have it now. So I'm trying not to think about this DLC in terms of the TTK patch and that it didn't come out yet, but by the time part 2 of this DLC drops, hopefully we'll have that TTK patch and we can start talking about the new and improved Battlefield 1. Now, in terms of community feedback, I did make some feedback on the Operations game mode when I tested it out on CTE, and there seems to be a general consensus that Cape Hell is not particularly fun to play on. If you're attackers, you're basically running into a well-entrenched, a well-reinforced area of the map that is totally covered in fog, and it's not particularly fun to run into it and die over and over again. Not saying that you don't win on that map. I did win a few rounds playing on the new Cape Hell map, but generally speaking, people are saying it's not particularly fun to just get gunned down on the beach. Then again, it is sort of a D-Day mission. And then defenders are saying it's not fun either, because you're either getting artillery shelled from a dreadnought and destroyer, and then attack planes are flying in with complete fog coverage, unable to be seen by infantry on the ground, and killing players who are getting 3D spotted on the map. So attack planes are just shooting at spots the whole time, getting easy kills. I can speak from experience of having both been on the receiving end and the distributing end of those attack plane kills, and it's not a fun experience. Anyway, I have successfully pushed through a Cape Hell map before, and the reward is the Achibaba operation, which is a lot more fun. I think that map is built really well around the operation game mode. A little bit choke pointy at times, but it definitely opens up a lot more than I was expecting, and is just fun from start to finish. Although I don't think I've ever fully beat an operation as the attacker side yet, but it will be fun to try it out and try and complete that objective. Now, one more item that was a little bit concerning during the CTE testing is that the new specializations were going to be these crazy aura specializations. I don't know if those are being put on the back burner or saved for the next big DLC, but the current specializations are not aura based. They're much more realistic. Nothing seems too overpowered, and so I don't think players are going to be unlocking some crazy god tier specializations that put them in a different realm from other players. And for the most part, none of the specializations stand out as being all that useful. They could be fun to mess around with. I think maybe one of the coolest sounding ones is called Critical Cover, which says when your tank is disabled, automatically deploy smoke. It's got a 45-second cooldown. So this could actually be very useful for tank duels or using just tanks on any map. Anyway, I don't know if I'll be reviewing this DLC specifically, just because I've already given my thoughts on it during the CTE, and I don't think enough of it has changed for me to really change my overall views. During the CTE, I wasn't particularly impressed by any of the DLC weapons, and I wouldn't have considered using them over my current favorite weapons in the game, nor did I think they provided any sort of interesting tactical alternative to what's already available in the game. That might change though with the TTK patch, and so that's why I'm really excited for that patch as well. It might take some of these weapons in this DLC and actually make them considerably more viable. Nonetheless, I am excited to get these weapons unlocked on the off chance that they end up becoming quite effective down the road. I'll probably be doing that today on stream, so if you guys want to come by and check me out on Twitch, there's a link in the video description. As always, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.